Watkins, you opened your case today because your childhood sweetheart has now become an adult headache, and he's denying your 1-month-old son, Noah. You are 1,000% certain he fathered your son, and you have the medical evidence to prove it. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jamilian Washington, you testify that you are 1,000,000% certain you didn't father the plaintiff's newborn son and claim the only reason she is deeming you the father is because of a childhood crush. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you submitted some medical evidence as well,
That
Ms.
is
Watkins.
correct, Your Honor.
Can you please cross over and step to the monitor
Okay.
and explain to the court what you believe this evidence shows?
Same lips, same nose, Your Honor, and the same pretty eyelids, okay? Very small. They look identical, Your Honor. I don't know why he denies him. After that, my son came home with hairy legs.
Okay.
When he was born, he had hairs on his legs that you could not miss. Jamilian explained to me while I was pregnant that him and his kids came out with hair all over their body, mainly on their legs and their butt. My son has hair on his legs and his butt. Also, my son has a medical condition. He spits
Let me
up
look in the court
forcefully.
papers. You submitted that your son has pyloric stenosis.
That is correct.
And was he diagnosed with the...
Explain to me what pyloric stenosis is from your experience. What have you experienced with your son?
He has forceful spits ups.
Okay.
I have to feed him every 2 ounces instead of 4, or he will spit up very forcefully. It's really like projective.
Has he been diagnosed, though?
He told me that his children come out with this medical condition.
So is this the sum total of your medical evidence?
That is correct, Your
Well,
Honor.
Jerome, I guess we don't even need to open the envelope, right?
Because he's the father.
She just nailed that with that
He's the
exhibit.
father.
I don't even know.
Hairy legs.
Hairy legs. Hello, Dr. Parks. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I've got some questions for you. We have been discussing a condition called pyloric stenosis. Can you please explain to the court, what is it exactly?
So pyloric stenosis is a thickening of the area at the bottom of the stomach where it goes into the very first part of the small intestine. So it kind of acts as a clamp for everything that goes into the stomach so it can't go farther to get into the small intestine.
How does a child get this condition?
So pyloric stenosis is multifactorial, meaning that it has both familial components that we kind of inherit from our families, but it also has a lot of environmental components. Not so much genetics, there's not a genetic trait for it, but Scandinavian backgrounds, it tends to happen more likely. And then in families that have had it, there's a slight increased chance, but not a gene that's related directly to pyloric stenosis.
Oh, wow, so no gene.
Not that's been identified.
In the case of Watkins versus Washington, when it comes to 1-month-old Noah Watkins, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Washington, you are the father. You're the father.
Congratulations.
It's a beautiful little boy. And that's
Thank you,
your
Your
little
Honor.
boy.
And I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna step up. Like, I have no problem, like, taking him with me, picking him up, doing all of that. I just wanted to know if the baby was actually mine, Your Honor.
Yes.
Well, I always have open doors for you and your family as well.
Mr. Fye, you have petitioned the court for paternity tests on the defendant's 2 children, 2-year-old Nathan and 8-month-old Samuel. Additionally, you have requested a lie detector test for the defendant because you claim her infidelity has not only created paternity doubt, but has destroyed your relationship. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Henny, although you've admitted to cheating in the past, you say you have no doubt that Mr. Fye is your children's biological father. So, Mr. Fye, tell me how important these results are today.
You know, Your Honor, these kids, they call me daddy every day. And, you know, it kind of hurts me because as they got older, the kids don't look like me.
They do look exactly like
They don't
you.
look like me. I mean, Nathan, he's got different futures than what I have. And, you know, little Sammy, he kind of looks more like Nathan, too. They both look alike. And, you know, little Sammy's got my full name, except for he's the fourth. And I don't think it's right.
And so you claim that her infidelity in the past has caused you to doubt.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
I was gone away for 45 days. And when I came back, people, even friends, told me that she was messing around with a guy from the neighborhood.
We were not messing around.
That's not what my friends told me. But when I confronted the gentleman about it, he came, you know, I was on the phone with him, and he told me they did mess around twice. Well, when I confronted her about it, she denied it. So I had him on the cell phone. And then when I confronted her with the cell phone with him on it, she started crying, and then she admitted to me she cheated on me once.
Explain to me why you doubt.
I have an oval-shaped head, okay, Your Honor? My ears are close to my head. He has a block head. A block head. I mean, his ears have a dip in them. I don't have none of them.
I'm sorry, but I have dips in my ears. He has my ears.
I don't have big ears like he does. His sticks out more, and he has that block head. I don't have a block head. Mine's more of an oval shape.
So you're saying your head is an oval shape?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's why you submitted this. And you're saying Nathan has a different shaped head than you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say his ears don't fall like you?
Yes, correct.
So you're saying because of the way his head is shaped, he is not your son?
Correct. I don't think he's mine.
So are you saying the other man had a similarly shaped head?
Yes, Your Honor.
Really?
Yes.
As Nathan?
Yep.
And
correct.
you've seen this other man enough to be able to compare?
Yes. He used to be a close friend of mine.
Oh. In the case of Fye versus Henny, when it comes to 2-year-old Nathan Fye, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Fye, you are the father.
Who doesn't look like who?
I apologize for that. Now let's see Sammy.
Second result. In the case of Fye versus Henny, when it comes to 8-month-old Samuel Fye IV, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Fye, you are the father.
Change what name?
I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor, you say that you had a whirlwind 2-week romance with the defendant, and after it ended, she called to tell you that she was pregnant with your child. You say another man was at the hospital for the baby's birth, and therefore your DNA test will come back negative. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Orr, you say you are insulted that Mr. Taylor is even asking for a paternity test. You feel Mr. Taylor is just trying to dodge his responsibility, and you are confident you will prove he is your child's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Taylor, you claim this is not the first time you've tried to get a DNA test from the defendant. What is that you're holding up right there?
It is a picture of a comparison that she had sent me of me
Let me see that, Jerome.
and Eric, and another possibility of the other guy to Eric.
That's you on the bottom right. That's baby
Right.
Eric in the corners.
Yes, Your Honor.
And another man is on the top left?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why do you send them a collage of pictures with the baby and another man?
To let him know, Eric does not look like another man.
Where'd you pull this man out of? Thin air?
No, Your Honor. That is one of my ex.
Your Honor, the
Okay.
reason why I've been
So-
asking for DNA.
Okay. And this is someone Mr. Taylor was accusing you of having sex with as well. And he was saying that this could possibly be baby Eric's biological father?
Yes.
I mean, look, that picture was not going to help the situation. It didn't. I'm sure it only fueled your doubt at that point.
Your Honor, she has went as far as, like, saying the child had a crooked penis. And I have a crooked penis. She asked me if I had one. I said yes. She said, so how can you deny that this is your son? So she said,
all I have to say is I hope nobody brought an exhibit.
Your Honor, my son could not get circumcised because he was over 90 degrees.
Miss Orr, did you say that your baby has a crooked penis? And that was a point of proof?
No, Your Honor, not a point of proof.
She's lying, Your Honor.
To let him know that his son is going to be having surgery in August.
Then why would she ask?
Is that how you took it, Mr. Taylor?
Why would she ask? Why would she ask?
Well, I thought she would know.
Right?
But I ain't one to gossip. Did you think it was a way to avoid the DNA test again? I think is what I really want to know.
Yeah, sure.
Is that what because you have maintained in this case, she has avoided this test at every cost until now.
Yeah.
So do you feel like that was the last ditch effort to say, now look, you know the baby has this physical characteristic, and do you? Yes, you do. Okay, now. That's what you're thinking?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you for joining us today. We are here discussing the paternity of baby Eric. And his mother has indicated that the child was born with a certain characteristic, and it would be a crooked penis.
Okay.
She then asked the potential father if he possessed the same characteristic. The father indicated that he did. This led the court to ask, what is this? How does it happen? And is it linked to genetics?
Okay. Okay. Well, there's actually two different conditions we're talking about here.
Okay.
One actually happens in babies and infants, and the other one happens in older adults. So the first one is chordase, which actually happens in infants, which is actually a structural and a developmental problem. The Parietals disease actually occurs in adolescents and older men. That's from microtrauma. Both have a little bit of a genetic component, but it's sort of when they're developing, so it's a small component.
So if the father and the son are both born with it, is it an indicator of paternity?
Based on my medical opinion, it would be highly unlikely, but possible, because the one is more of a structural problem that's actually occurring, and they haven't been able to conclude with any real evidence that both of these are going to cause this. But there are some, as I said, on the structural problem, the underlying connective tissue problem, which would be a genetic problem. But based on just a curvature of a penis, it would be hard for me to determine paternity from that.
Not impossible, but not necessarily an indicator.
Right. I would agree with that.
Understood. In the case of Taylor versus Orr, when it comes to 6-week-old Eric Orr, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Taylor, you are not the father. Calm down, Mr. Taylor. I know this was disappointing. I could tell from the pictures you had formed a bond with the baby.
I wish I never knew her. I don't see how that's just never.
So even though you had doubts, it is obvious you were coming here hoping to be wrong.
Right.
But you were right to have questions. Ms. Orr, do you have something you'd like to say?
I'm sorry that I got your hopes up that Eric was yours.